All right. I first want to just say thank you to everybody for helping me out with this. I really appreciate you guys jumping on. I hope you guys learned something. You know, we're gonna be cooking together. I'm gonna be talking a little bit of nutrition, but if you guys, you know, feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to chime in at any time. Yeah, let's have a little fun. Let's make this bowl. I definitely, you know, I chose this bowl because my project is geared towards adults with hypertension. It's a big issue that we have in this country. The sodium intake for most Americans is very high. The average intake for an American is around 3,400 milligrams of sodium, and the dietary guidelines say that we should be eating less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium. So, you know, the main reasons for this is like the American diet is oftentimes high in processed foods, fast foods, and things like that. So, these are some of the issues that we're dealing with as far as why the hypertension numbers are so high in this country. So yeah, we're gonna cook a low sodium meal, and I think we should first get started by washing our hands because we should all, you know, practice hygiene.
It's a shame you
You sing the happy birthday song.
Happy birthday.
All right. Always want to, you know, be safe in the kitchen. So one of the other tricks, you know, as far as, you know, cleanliness in the kitchen is one of the things I do is I bring out a plastic bag, so I'm not going back and forth to the trash can, touching the trash can. So that's always something you can do. You don't have to do it now. I'm just saying it's something that, you know, you can implement when cooking at home, just to, you know, save some time from walking back and forth, and also, you know, keep you from touching the trash can. All right, so the most time consuming thing on here is cooking this actual grain. So we should definitely get started putting that in the pot right now. What I found is on the package, it says about 2 cups of water with this. I already have it portioned out 3/4 cup of the grain. So add 2 cups of water and just, you know, get that on the stove and get that, bring it to a boil. And just so you guys are aware, this Freekeh grain, it's not going to be like your typical white rice or brown rice where all the water absorbs. You're going to have some extra water that's in the pot, so we're going to actually end up draining it later on and kind of rinsing it like a pasta. But there is going to be some water that absorbs, but just don't freak out if all of it doesn't get absorbed.
Now, should we put any seasoning in the water? I know
So for the sake of kind of keeping it, you know, low sodium, we could avoid putting salt into it right now. You know, we are going to sprinkle some salt and things like that, but, you know, for the sake of keeping it low sodium, we'll try to avoid, you know, using salt at certain steps. And right now,
do you need to stir this in, Roman?
Do I need to stir it?
You need to stir it in, like.
Oh no, you don't need to stir it. No, you should just. I mean, we'll go back and stir it occasionally, you know, but maybe once it comes to a boil, we'll give it a stir and then put a lid on it.
All right.
Right. And so yeah, this is, you know, one of those grains that's just very high in fiber. So it's always something that you could add to a salad to give it some bulk. Add a bunch of fiber to your dish to keep you full. Sometimes people, you know, steer away from salads because they don't feel like they're full afterwards. So adding like a whole grain like this can definitely help.
Does it have to be cooked, or is it something that you can?
Yeah, it does. It is really tough if it's not cooked. But one of the things that's, you know, good about it is it does have like a chewier texture. It's not like a soft rice, so it just adds some texture into the grain. All right, and we can move on to step 2, which is the Brussels sprouts.
Love Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts. Are we talking about Brussels sprouts?
I love
We're
Brussels
talking
sprouts.
about Brussels sprouts. So what it says is to cut the trims off the ends. So we're just gonna cut the trims off, and then we're gonna cut them in half. One of the things I like to do is just, to avoid, any kind of cuts in the kitchen, is to always just make sure I hold the Brussels sprout on both sides and then slide the knife in between to make sure that it's stable. So that's just one, little kitchen hack there.
So cut the ends off first, then cut them in half.
Yep, cut the ends off and then cut them right in half lengthwise, long way. And then what the recipe actually calls for is, after we do this, we're gonna take half of them and cut them into shreds, and the other ones we're just gonna keep as halves. And one of the reasons why I chose this meal here too is because it did have some seasonal vegetables in there. Seasonal vegetables are always good to add into your dishes because, when they're in season, they do offer peak nutrition and peak flavor. So whenever you can get seasonal vegetables, it's always a good idea. So does anybody know any ways that you can reduce sodium intake in your daily intake?
Use more spice. Use more spices, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so use spices. A lot of times, adding some acid, so like some lemon or fresh herbs, things like that. Those are ways. One of the ways that pops up in my mind is when you buy canned vegetables or canned goods, rinse them, give them a good rinse, wash out some of the sodium that's in them.
Now, is it always best to use fresh vegetables? Like, could have used frozen?
So I'm glad you brought that up, because people always believe that you always have to have fresh vegetables, when in reality you can use frozen vegetables a lot. You just want to stay away from the frozen vegetables that have the added cheese sauces and things like that, because those are going to add a whole bunch of sodium to it. But no, frozen vegetables are often offer more nutrition than fresh vegetables, because they're picked when they're at peak, when they're peak at their ripeness. Their ripeness is at their peak, and then they're frozen, so they retain a bunch of their nutrition. So frozen vegetables are really good. Canned vegetables are also good. They have a place. You just have to make sure that if you're choosing, if you're in a grocery store, you want to look for some of the low sodium options. So I don't know if you guys ever went shopping and seen that they have low sodium, less sodium, reduced sodium, and things like that. So it's tricky, but the reduced sodium just means that it's reduced from the from the regular. So it can only be reduced a little bit, whereas the low sodium has to be under a certain amount of milligrams. So when trying to choose between reduced or low sodium, you definitely want to choose low sodium. So for instance, like a chicken broth, if you buy a regular chicken broth, it can be 850 milligrams of sodium in a serving, and the reduced chicken broth can be 650, whereas the low sodium one has to be down to like 140 milligrams of sodium. So low sodium definitely better than reduced sodium. All right, so we got the
grain is boiling. The grain is
boiling. So I turn it down.
Yeah, you want to reduce it to a simmer, and then we're gonna put a lid on it, and then maybe set a timer. I'll set a timer for like 25.
Long lid.
I was trying to find the lid in my pan during all that. Half of the Brussels sprouts put aside. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so we're gonna keep half of the Brussels sprouts, like half, and then this side we're gonna actually shred them. So we're gonna just chop them into like nice little shreds. Now, some other things you can do is when you're buying nuts and seeds, like choose the ones that don't have the added salts. That's always a good option. And deli meats is one of the bigger contributors to why Americans are, have such a high sodium intake. And, your typical turkey sandwich with cheese on 2 pieces of bread can sometimes run you up to over 1,000 milligrams of sodium. So, it's okay to have one of those every once in a while, but you just, you don't want to be packing a turkey sandwich every day, because it could really, have an effect on your heart health. If people who develop hypertension, they're at a higher risk for things like heart disease and strokes, heart attacks, kidney disease. So it is a very serious thing. So that's why it's best to start implementing some changes before it gets to, that point.
How thin are we shredding these? Are we just like in slices?
However thin you want it. I mean, I've got it down to, like, I don't know if you can see, but it's pretty shredded up.
Okay.
They were using a knife. For some reason, I thought we would actually have to shred it on something, and that would be.
Oh yeah.
That would be hard.
You could just use a knife.
Yeah.
So make sure we're tucking our fingers when we're cutting, so we're not chopping our fingers up.
Ow!
I don't do that very well. I don't suck my fingers too well.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, and then whenever you guys are ready, we're gonna toss those that Brussels sprout, the Brussels sprouts that aren't shaved. We're gonna toss those in with the butternut squash into the oven with a little bit of olive oil and just a little dab of salt and pepper.
All right. So olive oil.
Yep, a little drizzle of olive oil, enough to coat it. Then a little sprinkle of salt and pepper.
So Roman, would this be a time to possibly use the avocado oil or no?
You could use avocado oil. That's a great alternative. Yeah, either one is fine here.
No, I'm going to use the olive oil because I have it out. I was just thinking about it.
Yep, no, you can definitely use that here too.
So should we drizzle the olive oil on top of the stuff too, or just at the bottom?
Yeah, drizzle it on top of the butternut squash and the Brussels sprouts, and then just give it a little mix, and then we could pop that in the oven.
And these are the non-shredded ones, right?
These are the non-shredded ones, right? Yeah, you got it.
And not too much salt and pepper.
I mean, so one of the good things about this recipe is you don't have the added cheese sauces or the added, soy sauces or anything like that. So a little pinch of salt and pepper here isn't going to do too much damage. However, if you were somebody who didn't have hypertension or something like that, that is something you would, look to reduce as well.
Now, how about, is there a difference in like salt, like kosher salt, sea salt, for the content in sodium, or?
No, they all typically have this same amount of sodium, regardless. But recently they have come out with some things called new salt, NuSalt, and that is a salt that does not have sodium. It is used. They make it by using potassium chloride. So potassium chloride is what gives it that salty. That salty taste. So that's an option. However, people who have kidney disease often also have hypertension, and they have to limit their potassium. So sometimes they say, "Oh, I'm doing good. I'm using this new salt. It doesn't have sodium," and then their potassium numbers are going up through the roof. So that's just something, when you have multiple comorbidities, you got to be conscious of.
So we're putting this in the oven now, right?
Yep, we're putting that in the oven.
Oil, salt, pepper, oven.
Oil,
Do you
salt,
need
pepper, oven.
Do you need a timer for that? You want me to take care of that or no?
I think since I have It looks like my green is on a 20-minute timer, and it looks like the Brussels sprouts
About the
in
same time.
Yeah,
Okay.
around that same time. So
Okay.
won't use that. And the next step is we're gonna take a saute pan here when everybody's ready. And we're just gonna toast some nuts.
Roman, is anything else going in there with the nuts or no?
No, you don't have to put anything else in there.
Okay, I ended up grabbing like a pretty big pan. I don't know. Look at this one. Too big?
No, it's fine. It doesn't matter
Okay.
what size it is. It's
All
okay.
right. All right,
And
so
nothing in the pan, just put the nuts right in the pan?
Put the nuts straight in the pan, and it looks like we're only gonna be toasting them for about 3 minutes or so. Nuts are, they're already, you know, of course they have a nutty flavor. They're, you know, they give crunchy texture to salads and things like that. But when you do put them over a pan, they do actually get a little bit more crunchy, and the nuttier flavor actually comes out more when they get toasted a little bit. So it's one of the reasons why they're saying to do that in this salad. And of course, these nuts are unsalted, so it's all right.
It says about medium, right?
And then once, you know, once they're done in a couple minutes, we could just put them to the side in a little bowl. Have any of you guys done anything like this before, like a teaching kitchen at all?
No, not at all.
It's the first
like a
time.
what?
First
A what?
time.
This is the first
No.
time you guys are doing a teaching kitchen like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys, one of you guys could host next time. This could have been something we were doing during quarantine. We should have done something.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that would have been good. That's true.
And this is gonna be my first grain bowl, just so you all know. I've never
yeah.
had one.
Yeah, me
Oh.
too.
Purchased or homemade, I've never had one.
Oh,
Same here.
Yeah, they're becoming a little popular. You know, it's a good way to just
Yep.
you know add a bunch of different things and try something new. Like this grain is something probably new for you guys. I've had it before, but yeah. And anytime you can add a bunch of different vegetables into a bowl or something like that, it's giving you a lot of potassium. And one thing about potassium is it actually draws sodium out of the blood. So anytime you have a high intake of fruits and vegetables, it's actually going to draw sodium out of your blood. So it's gonna have the opposite effect. We always want to try to add as much potassium as we can. All right, so my nuts got a little toasty.
how do you know? How do you know?
I know.
Once I started to see like little marks on them, I just
Oh, okay.
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 I'm using a cast iron pan, so it's taking a little longer.
oh, it's okay, it's all right. And they don't have to don't feel like they have to get super toasty. Like it's just a couple
Yeah.
minutes and they should be fine. And then next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add those shredded Brussels sprouts into that same pan. Once we take the nuts out, we're gonna add the Brussels sprouts in, and that looks like a little bit of
Nothing
olive.
on the pan? No olive oil, nothing?
With the shredded Brussels sprouts, yeah, you're gonna do a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of salt and pepper with the shredded Brussels sprouts.
Are we doing that now or no? Oh,
Yeah,
no,
we're doing
wait.
that now. Yep.
No, Beth, are you
All right, so
ready?
shredded Brussels sprouts, olive oil, salt and pepper.
Yep.
Okay.
So So when you guys go shopping, is sodium content something you guys would typically look at in a nutrition label, or no?
Yes, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I'm doing that program, you know, at the hospital, and boy, it has me looking at every label for everything.
I know, and it's shocking how high some of the stuff is that you have no
Yeah.
idea.
It really is.
When I was in my inpatient rotation, I was able to do sit in on like a stroke group and like a heart, like people who like recovering from a stroke or people who are recovering from heart attacks, and they all were saying the same things. Like, I can't believe how much salt is in some of this food. Like, now that they actually went through these, you know, traumatic experiences and they're paying more attention to sodium content, they didn't realize how much they were actually consuming in a day. So that's why, you know, one of the reasons why, you know, with this video, hopefully, you know, you can just at least become more conscious of it, you know, be aware of it. I brought one of these ramen noodles. Everybody knows ramen noodles are high in salt. That's not a surprise. That's not a surprise. But it's just fun. What I find funny is that, you know, the labeling, and they always try to trick you a lot of times. So like on here, one of the categories, it says that there is 790 milligrams of sodium, but it says for half of the package. And now, who's gonna eat half of this? You know what I mean?
No,
I don't
yeah,
even know why
and-
they have it on there, because
Well, that's
everybody's
how
gonna
they-
eat a whole one,
Yeah, they
which is
trick that
really
all
gonna
the
give
time.
you 1,600 milligrams of sodium.
Yep.
So,
But that's how they do that with everything. They're like per serving, and people don't realize that one
Yeah.
pack of something is really two or
Yeah.
three servings.
Yeah.
So
that's
So,
one
like,
of the
you
that's
you
one of the
look
big
at how many
things.
servings per that pack,
Yeah.
and then
Yep,
times that.
absolutely.
There's like individual bags of things, like chips or
Yeah,
snacks. Sometimes
I
they're-
get it.
they say right, 680 milligrams of sodium per serving, and then you know, the bag is 5 servings.
Yeah. Mhm.
3, I mean 3 most of the time. But
Right? Yeah. No, you did. It's things that that they know people are only that they're gonna eat the full package, but
Yep.
they still label it as with multiple servings.
It smells good.
And then the other thing is with, you know, when you're buying even sweets, if you're buying processed cookies and things like that, just because they taste sweet doesn't mean that they're not high in sodium as well. Sometimes they high, you know, anytime something is preserved or something is processed, sodium is what's going to keep the shelf life, you know, for a long time. So even if it's a sweet food, there's going to be a lot of sodium in it as well. So that's something to keep an eye on too.
are we supposed to flip like you?
Yeah, right. I'm not gonna do that. This is too heavy.
No, that's actually, I'm getting it all over the floor. But.
And then I'm actually gonna toss in my apple in the oven for now for the last 10 minutes, because I can't eat fresh apples. You guys are gonna
Oh,
have
yeah.
fresh apples in your salad, because I get a little bit of an allergic reaction.
So we should chop them up now?
I think
Or
we're
not
gonna
yet?
hop onto the dressing next.
Okay.
I was just gonna get this over with, so I
Gotcha.
could pop it in the
My
oven.
Brussels sprouts are starting to toast up. Should I take them off or?
I think you could take those off.
Yeah, mine are pretty warm.
I would maybe put them on a back burner, just leave them on warm or something back there.
Not good.
Yeah, they do.
So you guys were lucky enough to have your butternut squash already chopped up for you. I took care of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have any of you guys actually cut up butternut squash by yourself
No.
before? No?
Yes,
No.
yeah.
You have? Okay.
That's because she makes a really good soup. That's still waiting for the
Hard
rest.
as a rock. Hard as
Hard
a
as a
rock.
rock. So
Wow.
one of the tips for dealing with that, because the butternut squash skin is so tough, is you could pop it in the microwave for a minute and it'll
Oh.
loosen the skin up. And then
Okay,
you can actually, it makes it a lot easier to cut off. So it's just one little
Good.
tip.
good to know.
Yep. All right, so whenever you guys put the Brussels sprouts to the side, we can get started on the dressing. And this is cool too, because dressings are another place where you find a lot of salt in your diet. So anytime you can make your own little vinaigrette or something, I think they're simple enough that people can actually start to do them on their own. So we'll get started on that. So it says to get a big bowl because I think we're gonna do the dressing and then eventually we're gonna add everything into the same bowl. So if you have a bigger bowl, yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, that's good enough. There you go. Yeah, that's good. And now it says we're gonna mince the shallot. I'm not sure. It says to get about 2 tablespoons out of it. I'm not sure if the shallots I gave you guys are gonna get you 2 tablespoons, so I would just use up whatever you got.
All right,
Shallots come in different sizes, so I'm not sure how much we're gonna get out of it.
all right, show me what you did with it. Did you peel it or what? I don't know.
Oh yes, I did peel it, but you could just
Okay.
cut it in half and then take the peel off of it.
Okay,
It should be easier that way. I'm sorry, I actually peeled mine before.
that's okay. All right, and then mince it. Is that what you said?
Yep, and then mince it. Yeah, give it a good mince.
A good mince. I like that.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why you'll often see like shallots used in dressings instead of just your typical yellow onion is because shallots are a lot sweeter. So they go better in dressings than your typical yellow onion. And I don't know if you guys ever put like a wet paper towel under your cutting board. That's one thing you could do to keep it stable so it doesn't move around on you.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I have grippers on the bottom of mine.
Yeah, I have like these ridges around the edge that
Keep it steady.
keep it steady. Look at those knife skills. Does shallot make you cry like an onion makes?
I don't really have that issue for whatever reason. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I think
Because
it's
you
I
have contacts, because you
I
have
think it's-
contacts on, yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
All right, so into the bowl.
Into the bowl goes the shallot. And then we're gonna zest a lemon. Says about half a teaspoon of zest. You always want to zest your lemon whole. Don't cut it yet. Zest it whole. It's easier to zest that way.
I'm still cutting my shallots.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry.
Are you zesting it right into the bowl?
I was just zesting it over
Oh, okay.
my
Cutting
cutting
board.
board.
Okay.
Because you want to measure it.
Yeah.
Well,
Or guesstimate.
actually, yeah, you could do it over the bowl. That'll make it easier that way.
All right. Whew.
In my opinion, the more onion, the better. Onion. The more lemon, the better.
That's true.
Whew.
Lemon doesn't have sodium, is it? Does it?
That's right. Oops.
Most,
Ugh.
yeah, I mean, most food items or fruits, and even fruits and vegetables have a small trace of it, but it's just not a significant amount.
Are you using a zester or how are you using it?
Yeah, I'm using a little zester.
Oh. All right, I have to find mine.
I think this lemon isn't that good for zesting though.
Huh? I got it.
Mine's a little soft too, but it's working. I'm getting all the
Yeah,
outside.
it's getting
This
there.
one? Is this a zester?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, that works.
Lily.
I know.
Okay. Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, right.
Roman, what would you do with your leftover lemon?
What would I do with my leftover lemon? I
Make
usually
tea.
use it. I usually use it for tea
Ah, yes,
or like a lemon water. Something like that.
sounds good. I'm gonna stir my grain.
Vegetable lemon?
Just so you get a decent amount. I'm having a little trouble, so I just went all around it. If you can get it all, that's fine. Then we're gonna cut that lemon in half and then juice half of it into the dressing. So after you juice your lemon, whenever you get there, then we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of olive oil.
So half a lemon, juice half a lemon.
Yep, juice half the lemon into the bowl. And then 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then a little dab of salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we could give that a little whisk.
Okay, wait a minute. So after the lemon juice, what did you say?
2 tablespoons of olive oil. 2 tablespoons. Yep, and then a little sprinkle of salt and pepper.
Uno. Dos. Salt.
Right, and I think the grain should be done, and I'm gonna actually strain that right now.
Strain it.
And then it says, you know, rinse a little bit of cold water on it.
So are you straining it or draining it? Draining it, right?
I mean, yeah, draining, yeah, just dump it into a colander, rinse the cold water on it. You can dump that into your bowl whenever you're done.
Dump it in with the salad dressing?
Yep, you can dump that into with the salad dressing.
Okay, sorry, the grains into the salad dressing?
Yep.
That's it.
And we're gonna go ahead and dump in the shaved Brussels sprouts.
Are we mixing it?
Yeah, you can mix it as you go. Shaved Brussels sprouts. And then now is when you guys can chop up your apple and throw that in as well.
Cube it or?
Yeah, just a little dice, You toss it in your-
Peel, no peel, just whatever preferences.
No, with the peel, yeah, whatever your preference is. Says we got 2 minutes left, guys, and then Zoom is gonna cut us off.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
It's not an hour?
No, it's, I guess it's the free version, so it's only, you only get
Oh.
40 minutes.
Right. Okay. So what's next? Squash?
So yeah, the squash and the Brussels sprouts. For me, it seems like the squash isn't quite ready yet.
Okay.
So this may be something that you guys have to add once the video is over. And then,
Mine's done.
And the nuts, how about the walnuts?
yeah, you can add the nuts. Yep. So once the squash feel like, you can stick a fork through it or whatever, then it should be good to go.
Ooh. Oh, just fogged up my glasses.
So the nuts go into the big bowl too?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I'm sorry, the walnuts go into the big bowl or on
Yep.
top of your?
Yeah, the walnuts can go into the big bowl. The last thing would just be to add those Brussels sprouts. So before it kicks us off, I just want to thank you guys again for hopping on. Yeah, let me know how you guys liked it.
if
Like
we
I
wanted
said,
to
I
add
don't-
a protein to it, we could put,
Yeah, of course, yeah. If
And
you wanted
for
to add
shrimp,
shrimp or chicken, you could.
Nice.
But this is also could be an option because it does have like 30 grams of protein in there, 29. So this could be, if people are looking to do like a meatless Monday or something like that, I think that, we could all incorporate days where, we don't have to eat meat with every day or whatever. So if you ever feel like you want to do something like meatless, I think a grain bowl is a good option because it does offer some protein and things like that.
Can
yeah,
I save this for lunch for tomorrow? Or is it
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
gross the next day?
No, it should be good the next day. I'm taking a picture. Mom, get in there. Taking a picture. There we go. All right, guys. Thank
Okay.
you guys so much.
Thank you.
And whenever you guys, the butternut squash and the Brussels sprouts are done, you can add that. It'll be awesome.
okay.